join colleagues in warmly welcoming the distinguished Honorable Foreign Minister of Cuba and his team. Mr. President, I underline the statement of Antigua and Barbuda with that presented by Iraq on behalf of the Group of 77 and China, on Uganda on behalf of the Non-Aligned Movement, NAM, Costa Rica on behalf of CELAC, and Grenada on behalf of the Caribbean community. Mr. President, it has been 62 years since the United States, a close friend of Antigua and Barbuda, instituted its blockade against Cuba. Time and time again, the international community, through the General Assembly and my Caribbean community, in its several institutions, have long called upon the United States of America to lift the trade embargo on Cuba and allow its citizens to benefit from their fair share of globalization and sustainable development. This unjust blockade of more than 6 decades, Mr. President, has caused untold stress to the people of Cuba and brought about much distress to many families and individuals within her shores. Mr. President, Antigua and Barbuda joins the many voices already echoed here in this hall for Cuba to remove from the list of state sponsors of terrorism. We too find this unfair and unjust. Antigua and Barbuda supports the 5 special procedure mandate holders of the United Nations Human Rights Council who expressed that countries designated as a state sponsor of terrorism is neither clear nor transparent. We therefore call on the United States to lift the blockade and remove Cuba from the list of state sponsors of terrorism, and to fully comply with all of her international human rights obligations, including extraterritorial obligations, and to take immediate action to end the blockade against Cuba and remove her from the list of the State Department on state sponsor of terrorism. It is time, Mr. President, it is time to turn a new page of peace, cooperation, and understanding. The economic, financial, and commercial siege applied against Cuba is the main obstacle to the sustainable development of Cuba. The continued application of the embargo also threatens Cuba's full implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, the 2030 Agenda, as well as the recently adopted Antigua and Barbuda Agenda for SIDS, Abbas, and other international negotiated agreements that we have all signed on to. The international community's call for leaving no one behind must be applied to Cuba, and to fulfill this promise we have made to the global community, Antigua and Barbuda once again calls for an end to the embargo. Mr. President, my country looks forward to the day when we can expand trade with Cuba and build upon the generosity that the Cuban government and people exhibits in providing technical assistance across several areas to Antigua and Barbuda and Caribbean countries, areas such as health, culture, environment, energy, and so on. Mr. President, Antigua and Barbuda again expressed, as we have done in numerous United Nations General Assembly statements, that we are yet again calling for both our friends and partners, the United States of America and Cuba, to come together around the table of diplomacy to discuss peacefully an end to the differences and forge a new relationship based on mutual respect and shared responsibilities. I thank you.